special city council meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to accept the November 3rd and November 10th meetings minutes as written.
A motion by Alderman Larry Hall, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Tudor. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
8 yes, motion passes.
Thank you. Just a few announcements tonight on the mayor's report. Nominations for the 2013 Volunteer of the Year are now being accepted. Forms are either City Hall or they're on the city's website. And I know it don't feel like it with the weather, but Thanksgiving's coming up, so the City Hall will be closed next week on Thursday and Friday, the 26th and 27th. And again, the Winter Wonderland and hopefully 50-degree weather will be hosted by the Chamber of Commerce. Will take place downtown on Wilmington on Saturday, November 28th. That's the parade. I believe the lineup is at 5.
Yes, sir.
Kickoff is at 6. So the parade starts at 6 and then starts.
No, break starts at 5.
Parade starts at 5?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, the lineup's before then. The parade starts at the Stevens Intermediate School, the old high school, travels down Ryan Street and ends downtown. All the necessary people have met with the chief and everybody else and the resources. And one of the big things is trying to ensure the safety of the public, especially downtown. We've had issues where the kids tend to really kind of gravitate towards the floated parade entries as they're coming through. Makes it very dangerous, very scary, not only for us as the police officers, but especially for those driving those parade entries. So we've asked them to strictly kind of enforce the candy throwing rule, especially because it's dusk, it's hard to see the candy as it's being thrown in the air, and because we have these kids tend to generate. So we're trying to really what we're trying to do is educate the public out there to kind of help us out in ensuring that there's a safe distance away from the crowd and the parade entrance as they come by, so we don't have the potential of anybody getting hurt as they run across there. So we're going to get those words out, but if anybody else, in your discussions, let everybody else know about that as well. So, and then also on Sunday, November 29th, 3 o'clock at the Children's Park in Northcrest will be the Free Little Library ribbon cutting ceremony. I don't know who's on Facebook and who's not, but I know there's been an event created on that, and I know that the Beta Club and them have posted pictures of this, the free library on Facebook, so I think it looks pretty nice. So I don't know if Gary got the post in or not.
It's not in the back room anymore, so I'm hoping
We need to get, we need to let Christy know. You guys need to let me know. So we need to let Christy know. She wants to take pictures, then put the post in. She wants to, I guess, have some type of photo dialogue type thing from this whole event. So we'll have to make sure on that.
Okay.
All right. So that's what I have for the mayor's report tonight, and we're going to pull from the Finance Committee meeting is the presentation in regards to the virtual solar garden concept. And sorry, sir, but I didn't get your name, but
Michael Erickson. Mike Erickson.
So, Michael, the floor is yours. If you would like to present your the solar concept in regards to the wastewater treatment plant and the water treatment plant, appreciate it.
Will do. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here with you this evening. I think maybe you've all seen got a copy of the concept proposal that we did, so you looked over it a little bit. So I'll just kind of run through some things real quickly, how we arrived at that, and some of the benefits that the city could achieve by doing that, and then offer you a little wrinkle, but Tony was mentioning to you a little bit about some unique kind of things that we do with what were typically traditional solar projects and how we transform them into community solar projects. So that's what we'll look through tonight. Let me tell you a little bit about our company. We've been in solar business since 2009. We started doing utility scale solar development in New Jersey. There were a lot of incentives that the state of New Jersey had on the table at the time. So we were out there and developed approximately 60 megawatts and co-developed projects out there as well. We develop solar, we develop especially and focus on community solar, and we're an energy efficiency project developer and financer, and we do this nationwide where opportunities exist for us. What we like to call ourselves is a solar project enhancer, and that's kind of how we developed the concept of what we call of our brand community virtual solar gardens. We'll talk a little bit about what community solar is in just a little bit. The idea of why going solar today, when we first started developing solar in 2009, I think the costs per watt to build a system were still near $6 a watt. Today you can do it for about $2 a watt. So the price has come very competitive because of the cost reduction in solar, especially larger scale solar. We're able to sell the energy at a lower rate, and therefore we can compete with traditional grid supplied energy. A solar system provides a long-term pricing hedge. Typically, when you enter into a power purchase agreement contract, which is a no-cost upfront capital outlay for the city, it's a fixed rate, started at a fixed rate, and there is a built-in annual escalator. So you will know every year over the next 20 years what you will be paying for electricity and what you're taking from the solar energy system. Typically, and what it will be is the built-in escalator is lower than what the traditional historical utility average is. So as utility prices increase at a higher rate over the 20 years, and the PPA rate that you would pay over those same 20 years, you're increasing your savings as you go along because of that price hedge. What this provides you then is an opportunity to exercise a choice of where you source your energy, what kind of energy it is. It's renewable. It's a good renewable choice. It's sustainable. It's something that will last for up to 40 years. And of course, as renewable, it's good for the environment. We'll give you a few statistics on that based on the sizes of the systems that we did. For the city, in doing a program like this, there's no upfront capital cost. A company like ours comes in and develops, designs, funds, builds, and operates it and maintains it for the 20 years, or 20 or 25 years. We can talk about either way regarding the long-term power purchase agreement. So there's no upfront cost to the city. You simply agree to buy the energy from it at a lower cost to what you're currently paying. The last thing about it is what we kind of do with our little twist of it is it's community solar. Community solar provides the opportunity in a program that we designed specifically for states that have no community solar garden laws that mandate utilities participate in on-bill credits to share energy from a central solar array. So we've designed a way to do that and mimic that without having to wait for state laws to change and for the utilities to come around and be a part of it. So what do? We were, in our discussion with Tony, we were provided a couple of sites to take a look at. And these are kind of the conceptual site plans that we used. We looked at the usage of the energy that you did on each site. It's there at the wastewater treatment plant. This happens to be a design for a 750 kW system. That will offset almost all of the electricity that you use annually there. I think what we tallied it up was just under 1 million kilowatt hours, 993,000. So a 750 kilowatt system would, I think the production factor to kWh from nameplate is 1.3 in this area. So that would produce almost 950,000 kWh annually. That would be site one. There's plenty of room on that location. Originally, I think in the plan that you had, we used these two sections because there was still a question about that. But obviously, if we can use that site or that spot, we can put the whole system right in that area. The second site, is this the pumping water?
It's the water treatment.
Water. Okay. This site, I believe we tallied up, you use approximately 445,000 kilowatt hours annually. So that a 340 kW system on the property there that I believe you have a lease option on would there's plenty of room to put a 340 kW system there. These aren't necessarily the exact locations that we would do, it was just kind of a conceptual plan. But there again, that would offset approximately, all of the electricity. The way you use electricity, and I think the way I saw it, David had done some of that analysis, is that wastewater treatment plants and probably this facility as well, kind of use electricity on a monthly basis that's very much the same, which is good for solar generation, because if you do end up having to produce extra energy, it gets carried forward to the next month and credited at the full rate. And I got to check that again with Illinois, but I believe that that's the case. But being that it's consistent all the way through, you should match up pretty well throughout the year, that you would come pretty close to just matching up what you're doing throughout the year. So those are the two conceptual sites for those two systems. What's in it for the city? Initially, when you in this area, you still enjoy some fairly low electric rates compared to other areas of the country. So initially, and as I said, we're competitive now with the current rates that you're being charged. There is a little bit of a savings in year one. So we're able to match, what you're currently paying, I guess, at the end of your current third-party contract, I guess, which comes up in 2017. But the projections would be that electric prices will probably be somewhere in the 6.5 cent range per kWh. The PPA that is proposed, that we've been using here, is a starting PPA rate of 6.25 cents. So there's a little bit of a savings in year one. But as I said, with the fixed rental, with the fixed power purchase agreement rate against the historical long-term utility rate increases, you see by year 20, the projections would be that you'd be saving 27% over what you would be paying from grid supply. So there is your hedge. The total annual savings start at $2,700 and rise to $33,000 in year 20 on a projection, or a total for 20-year savings from that site of just over $316,000. As far as the other site on Willows Road, these are the numbers based on the 340 kW size. So there's a small savings, annual savings in the initial year, and that grows to the same percentage as the other system, because the numbers are very similar as to what your costs and what the projections are going to be. So this site and this system would save the city $143,000 plus. Just to kind of illustrate the hedge, these two lines represent the cost of electricity per kilowatt hour over 20 years. The green line is the solar power purchase agreement rate. So as a lower fixed escalator than projected and historic utility rates, that kind of illustrates the hedge over the long term. And this is simply the combined two systems. If you were to do both, and the projections that we would look at based on the production specifications of the equipment and the solar radiation that's measured over years, it comes up with projections that would save a little under about $450,000 over the next 20 years. That's what's in it as the host site, and the economic benefits for you as the host. The environmental benefits, if you'd like to know, just a little bit over 1 megawatt of solar that would be on both sites, would produce in 20 years over 27 million kilowatt hours of green energy, renewable energy. If you like the idea of how much CO2 is avoided, over almost 56 million pounds, 14,960 trees are preserved, and the equivalent homes powered over that period of time is over 2,200. Here's what we want to do with this as well for the community. Typical traditional third-party PPA solar model has an outside investor who comes in and looks for projects to invest in. Those investors could be anywhere in the world and have local or U.S. presence to search for projects in the U.S. So what we do as a developer in a traditional thing is we work with you, do a PPA project, you have no upfront cost, you buy the energy, any other revenue streams we can tap into for these types of projects. The investors look at the rate of return based on the cost that they'd have to buy it from, and we make money doing that. They then charge you for the energy as part of the PPA, any other incentives, and all of the money that you pay into that project goes to the investor. Typically, outside investors, and most solar investors are on the coasts, and many have ties to even investors outside of the United States. What our focus is in terms of, and it's in our name, community solar, community green energy, is to drive as much value out of the solar system as possible. And that means local ownership. If you own the asset, all of the value for the next 20 years plus stays here. And that's what we try to do. So what our program is, since there is no excess energy here that traditional or standard community solar models have, like in Minnesota, there is no consumption of that energy on site. It all goes to the grid. So it's all excess energy that subscribers buy, and they get a credit on their bill for the amount, and hopefully they're paying less as a buy-in subscription rate than they get as a credit on their bill. And they do, and that's the value in it. But when, in states like Illinois where there's none of that around, we take the PPA project and we mimic what that standard concept is becoming of community solar. We do a community outreach to have anybody who would like to come in and purchase panel production rights. So that is typically, we try to make sure that the value is good for the subscriber. It's potentially, and should be, a lot better than if they could put it on their own roof, because it's a larger, centrally located solar system. It's got better orientation to the sun. It should produce more. We should get greater value out of it. So what we do is we offer the opportunity, instead of me being the outside investor or going finding an outside investor, we look for local area residents and small businesses to buy into the solar garden. And instead of doing bill credits on a virtual basis through the utility, we take the PPA revenue and any other incentives that we can monetize, and that's basically the green attributes of it, and we distribute it back to the local owners of it. We pay their electric bill for them according to the amount of production that their panels put. So if their panels produced 100 kilowatt hours, and you pay, and you're paying 6.5 cents for it, you're actually paying back the taxes that you're collecting to local people who now own this system, in order so they can reduce their electric bill. So they're not buying energy, they're buying the value of the system as if it is the value of the energy, as if it was on their own roof, but instead of them getting a lower electric bill because they're using the energy, we're simply taking the value of that energy that you pay for and pay their electric bill for them, according to how many kilowatt hours that their system produced. That's the way we get around it. And the nice thing about our program, there's a number of different things that are kind of neat about it. If you have a community solar garden, like up in Minnesota, if you buy into one of those solar gardens, you have to be in XL Energy's footprint. And if you leave XL Energy's footprint, you have to find somebody to take it over. And those are 20-year, 25-year commitments. They're long-term. And there's reasons people do this. And, you know, it's something that is you know, fairly common. There's social responsibility aspect to it, environmental type of things that people just want to do. This isn't an investment. Most community solar gardens are not an investment, because if you're looking for a double-digit return in an investment, then this is not it. I mean, this is a choice to get a nice value. You're going to pay your electric bill anyway. Now you have a choice to participate in solar, expand it within your own community, and even achieve value from it. So if you think about all of the money that you're going to save, it's 300 times or 400 times more of the money that you're paying for that's leaving, leaving Wilmington, if it's an outside investor. But all of that extra money that's there, so we're talking hundreds of thousands over the next, number of years, we're trying to take advantage of that as much as we can from demand within the community, and as far up as, in the area that we can, is to find people who would be willing to, buy into the panels and get their money back out of it, and over the long term, actually benefit from it. They get more than that back from it. It's a longer term return, but many people don't look at it that way. I mean, they look at it as, I gotta pay my electric bill anyway, and over the long term, I'll pay less. And I'm doing it with green energy. So that's the appeal of community solar. And there are not a ton of community solar gardens because there's a lot of obstacles within each state. That's kind of why we built the system or the concept of ours in places that don't have community solar. Oh, I was just going to say, if like in Minnesota, if you left the territory of Excel, you had to get rid of that somehow. Because we're not doing it with the utility, a subscriber over a long period of time can go anywhere. They just need to tell me what their new electric account is. So we pay their electric bill wherever they go. So it follows them. So the value will always be there. Whether they're, and they can transfer it to someone else. We've got all sorts of different kinds of things that we can do to make sure that the longevity of this program is viable for the initial subscriber or anybody they would like to make a successor to them. And that's our unique, program for it. Let me just tell you a couple of things that are critical factors for even getting this project off the ground. I mentioned the value to anybody, whether it be an outside investor, whether it be subscribers who are providing permanent financing by buying into the system. We need more than just the electricity revenue to make this work for anybody who wants to be, who's going to fund it. Illinois, through the Illinois Power Agency, this year instigated a solar renewable energy certificate RFP. It was designed to try to expand solar development in Illinois. The SRECs, the solar renewable energy certificates, are the green attributes of a solar system. And I'll explain it this way. If you had solar on your roof here and it was feeding behind your meter and you were consuming it here, if for every 1,000 kilowatt hours that system produces, it earns one solar renewable energy certificate. It's the green that makes that energy green. And when you can claim you're using green energy, well, you keep those SRECs yourself, and they get retired. So if you keep those certificates along with the energy you're using, then you're using green energy, according as far as the ability to advertise that. You are, but I mean, this is the RECs were a way of providing additional revenue stream to developers to do that. SRECs in many states are tradable because those are the things that the utilities have to buy because they're not allowed to build solar energy systems themselves. So the way they hit their renewable portfolio target for the energy they deliver is by buying those. And if they don't, in states where those are valuable, the penalty for not hitting your target of renewable energy that you deliver, the percentage, is steep. In Washington, D.C., for the matter right now, it's $550 per megawatt. So, and they do a lot of megawatts. So in New Jersey, it was the same way. Initially, their penalty was $750 per megawatt that they didn't hit their target. That was lower for their target. So that drives some of the value in states. Illinois doesn't have anything like that. So they started this new program called it's an RFP. Illinois Power Agency collects, and on your utility bill, you have surcharges on there that cover green energy efficiency projects. The utilities get to recover all this lost revenue from all of these energy efficiency savings. You pay for all of that. Well, all that gets into a big pot kind of thing, and now they're using some of that money to fund the SREC program. So what we do for you, what we put for ourselves actually, or for the subscribers, is as your systems earn solar renewable energy certificates, before we can build this project, we're going to have to bid this project into that RFP in order to get awarded that. You don't automatically get them. it's an RFP. So we have to bid into what we need from from these solar recs in monetary value in order to make the project economically viable. IPA, the SRECs are minted, and they call them for 5 years, so it's a 5-year forward contract. So if we bid in, and some of the models we were running for financials is somewhere in the neighborhood of $90 to $100 per SREC. And if we can bid a project in and get some, and win the bid in $90 to $100, that's what we'll receive for every SREC generated. So either I keep it as a single investor, or whoever finances the solar project for you, or those are also monetized and distributed to the solar garden subscribers. So all of the monetization of any of these benefits and any energy sales goes to those who put the money in. And if the subscribers, they get that. In the model that we used, if we got a $90 SREC, a subscriber would be getting about, in year one, a little over 12 cents a kilowatt hour credited on paid to their bill. So every kilowatt hour that their solar panel would be producing in year one, they'd be getting a little over 12 cents for it in return, which will be paid to their electric bill. So that pays back their subscription fee. Another thing that we have to deal with, and we've been doing some research, and I've been talking to the assessor's office in Will County, is how they're going to treat that system for property tax. Because of the revenue streams being very thin here in Illinois, any extra expense or extra cost to the project is crucial. So we are still working on what that potential property tax liability would be assessed against the system. We don't know that yet. It could be nothing. It could be $6,000 a year, which is probably doable, but it really depends on what methodology they use to assess the system. And they won't do it until we have everything put together. They won't speculate on anything. So they want exact numbers and exact details. Perhaps one of the most critical things, and the thing that you would need to think about if you're really interested in doing solar. At the end of next year, the 30% federal IT investment tax credit is due to go away. It might seem like a long time, but it's not. A solar project for the size of what you're looking at doing is going to take 6 months to get started and through the award process. And hopefully we get an award, and that's really critical. We have to get that, or it's going to be the 30% ITC might not even allow us to do it with just the revenue stream from the energy sales at that lower rate. But it is very important, and there are a lot of people, and there are going to be a lot of developers, and there are going to be a lot of contractors who are going to be rushing like crazy to get projects completed, sometime next year and before the end of next year. That is a huge piece in making projects economically viable. So basically, I'm just saying is that time is of the essence. So we've got two real time dates here. One is to get a project, what I call identified. And that's really kind of the next step. If you're interested in having us work with you and do this as fast as we possibly can for you, we simply sign up a very simple development agreement. It just outlines what we're going to do, a timeline, what kind of assistance we may need from you. There's no monetary stuff involved. And it just has the expectations of what's going to happen. If we get SRECs, if we, there'll be trigger mechanisms. If we get this, we expect that you'll enter into a power purchase agreement, because you're not obligated to do anything until you sign something like that, which has all of the governing rules, the site licenses, and all of that kind of stuff. What we're trying to do here initially is just get the project ready and see if we can make it viable. And that's going to take some time, and that's going to take some investment on our part. So it's just kind of an agreement to agree that if this happens, then we expect to go ahead with the project. So what we will be doing then, after the development agreement is signed, we'll be doing some final system designs, so like I said, to get the project identified. So when you bid into the SREC RFP, the size of the project we're gonna do, they want it identified. And that means we're gonna have some site plans put together, we're gonna have single line drawings for the electrical plan, we're gonna have the system kind of mapped out, and the location, and probably use the development agreement signed by the city to be a signifier to the IPA that this is a real project, and therefore they will consider it that way from that, but that's a requirement. During all of this type of stuff too, we would really find out what the appetite and what the demand would be in the local area for participation in this. We'll start talking, as we do the system design, we'll get better numbers to know what the cost of the project will be, what the economics, what we will finalize those to be, and the kinds of things that we can present to residents and businesses and small businesses in the local area who might want to take a look at playing a role in getting this project built here in the city. And all of that kind of put together by the time we understand March is the next, as I said, is the next RFP for SREX. So anytime that we sign a development agreement to move forward, we'll start doing all of those kinds of pieces, and we'll get that. And we have kind of our own process of doing community outreach, but we do hope that this is something exciting that you'd like to do, and we kind of collaborate to use tools and media and newsletters and things of that nature to help get the message out, and have potentially arrange workshops. You have a nice facility here, maybe we can time it with something else where we know a lot of people will be here. But those are the kinds of things we do in our process to do that, and we can talk about that when we get to that point. But that's really what we're proposing, in addition to providing an opportunity to go green, exercise a choice for renewable energy, environmental quality, all those kinds of things that communities kind of rally around. And in addition to that, we're turning that whole project itself into a community project, provide opportunity for those in the area to become part of that community solar project, share all the same values, et cetera, that you would want, or that they would think about if they were going to do it themselves. That's what we have for you.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? A lot to absorb, that's for sure. You presented us a lot tonight, so I think I'll take under advisement, and we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, next topic is citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens for comment tonight? All right, seeing none. Planning and zoning commission. We do have a couple of ordinances for approval under that from the planning and zoning.
Mr. Mayor, I have the first one. I move to approve ordinance number 15-11-17-01, an ordinance authorizing the Will County Historic Preservation Commission and Will County to designate 121 South Joliet Street, Wilmington, AKA the historic Edwin R. Willard Home, as a county landmark.
A motion by Alderman Larry Hall, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Persick. Any discussion?
Mayor, there's homeowners here,
Yes.
and I don't know if you want to give you a 30-second, what he's been doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Wanted to show you guys were here, and I didn't hear anything from citizens' comments, so please.
Hi, Mayor. How are you tonight? My name's Owen Beasley. My wife and I, we moved to Wilmington not too long ago into the house of 121 South Joliet Street with my family. I take great pleasure living here in Wilmington. For the year that we've been here, we're trying to renovate the home to its past glory when E.R. Willard lived there. I stumbled upon that information when I moved in, and there was an old photograph of E.R. Willard on the mantle. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to meet the previous owners of the home, the Holtzes. But through research, I found his house to be very interesting and kind of being being a serviceman or country in the Civil War and then returning home and building up or contributing to Wilmington in a medical service that he was doing. And I thought it would be good honor to him and to Wilmington itself that this man being a serviceman and coming back and kind of doing breakthrough medicine at that time, and to have it acknowledged and have a legacy of his. And just proud to find that home, I guess, and research it. And
How much time did you spend researching?
quite some. You know, when kids go to bed, and if I'm not kind of working on the house, I was doing my just Google searches or trips to the library at free time, and I reached out to the Historic Society after I did my own research, and they were nice enough to pull some old etchings, I believe, from Plainfield Library from an atlas, and I just continued my search, and leads me here to tonight.
Looks like you've done a lot of work for the house. Of course, you got the modern kitchen. That's probably why.
I was lucky enough to have that taken care of, and that was probably one of the points with the wife when we were looking at it, that she could overlook some of the other stuff in the basement and whatever,
That has
the
specific-
kitchen. So I lucked out in that regard.
I'm sure there's a dishwasher in there.
Yeah, I pulled one in first thing, it was probably the first thing I did.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, understood. It looks very nice. And, I mean, just to take the time to do something like that, and you actually do the research. Most people just, kind of move in the house, kind of make it their own. And it is your own, but it sounds like you've also left that part of that historic part of what that house represented back in, way back. So
I did, Mayor, yeah.
that's very commendable. to be
Oh,
doing
thank you
something.
very much.
Steve's here, I think Steve's representing, I don't know who you represent, Steve. Where's
I'm
somebody
representing
else?
Will County, our Plan Commission, and our Historic Preservation Manager, Janine. As many of you know, we've been before Wilmington on many occasions. We're very, very proud of this community. The historic atmosphere that you guys have is unbelievable. You guys are wonderful to work with, your city council, your mayor, your officials, and Mr. Beasley has a wonderful house, and we're just asking to negotiate an agreement between you guys, and so you work with them and get them nominated. So thank you.
Does this happen regularly, Steve? I mean, where you got
Yes.
people that actually take, because I mean, it's the first time we've had a couple other homes in town, but to actually see this is kind of neat.
It's kind of neat. I think Mr. Beasley, I believe he probably got pretty inspired after he got in and started looking at the walls. It generates momentum in your mind to really do more research. Yeah, it's great. And again,
It's almost like an addiction. It becomes like an addiction, don't it? Because you gotta
Exactly.
find out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's a good
Thank you.
addiction.
We're very proud to be here working in conjunction. Yeah.
Very good. All right. Well, thanks for being so patient and waiting for us.
Oh, absolutely.
Present this.
Thank you for your time.
I know, time is of an essence. All right, we got a motion before us. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
8 yes, motion passes.
That's you. Another step taken, right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good holiday, you guys.
Thank
You
you.
guys too.
Thank you.
All right, we have another ordinance for approval.
Yes. I move to approve ordinance number 15-11-17-02, an ordinance adopting and publishing the official Island Park Vision Plan of the city of Wilmington.
Have a motion by Alderman Persick, we have a second.
Second.
Second by Alderman Van Dyne. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
8 yes, motion passes.
Thank you. Their next scheduled meeting is scheduled for Thursday, December 3rd, 2015 at 6 o'clock p.m. Committee reports. Be advised, if everybody can look at their committee reports under Finance Administration and Land Acquisitions. Item 4, 6, and 7 are struck from the agenda for tonight. We'll be taking no action on
You
those.
said 8 as
And
well.
he also, right?
Yeah, 4, 6, 7, and 8. Did I say 8?
You did not
Oh, I'm
say
sorry. 4, say that again. 4, 6, 7, and 8. All right? Everything else is for the agenda. So committee reports, building grounds, parks, health and safety, Alderman Percy, Alderman Van Dyne.
Mr. Mayor, the next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, December 9th, 2015 at 6:30 PM.
Water, sewer, streets, and alleys committee, Alderman Studer, Alderman Kerwin.
Mr. Mayor, next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, December 9, 2015, at 5:30 p.m.
Police and ESTA, Alderman Tudor, Alderman Studer.
Mr. Mayor, next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, December 8, 2015, at 5:30 p.m.
Right along. Finance Administration and Land Act, Alderman Studer, Alderman Tudor.
The first three. Mr. Mayor, I move to approve accounts payable report in the amount of $370,587.60. And the October 2015 collector's report in the amount of $424,835.87 as presented by the city accountant.
Now, motion by Alderman Studer, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Tudor, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
8 yes, motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve ordinance number 15-11-17-03, an ordinance providing the issuance not to exceed $150,000 general obligation limited tax bond series 2015 of the city of Wilmington, Will County, Illinois, and for the levy of a direct annual tax to pay the principal and the interest of said bond.
Now, motion by Alderman Studer, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Tudor, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
8 yes, motion passes.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the Illinois Municipal Insurance Cooperative premiums and fees and Illinois Public Risk Fund proposal as presented by Arthur J. Gallagher and Company.
Motion by Alderman Studer, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alderman Tudor, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Studer. Alderman Tudor. Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
8 yes, motion passes.
Okay, I move to approve the quote submitted by Brandt Builders in the amount not to exceed $6,800 for the drainage of the lime slurry lagoon at the water treatment plant.
A motion by Alderman Tudor, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Alderman Persick, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
I'm sorry, I could not find the piece, which one is it that you're?
The lime slurry,
Item number, item number
drainage
5.
of the lime, it's item 5.
All right, why don't I have a copy of that?
I don't know.
Here, you can have mine.
Okay,
Yeah, we'll just-
I'm sorry.
Probably is the original.
Roll call?
Yep.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
Yes.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
Yes.
8 yes, motion passes.
Move to approve the quote submitted by Tankology in the amount not to exceed $6,218.50 for the removal of gas pumps at 609 West Baltimore Street, Old Maritime Gas Station.
I have a motion by Alderman Tudor, do we have a second? Second. Second by Alderman Kerwin, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Tudor.
Yes.
Alderman Kerwin.
Yes.
Alderman Persick.
Yes.
Alderman Larry Hall.
No.
Alderman Kirby Hall.
No.
Alderman Van Dyne.
Yes.
Alderman Evans.
Yes.
Alderman Studer.
No.
5 yes, 3 no, motion passes.
Next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, December 15th at 6 p.m.
Ordinance and License Committee, Alderman Kirby Hall, Alderman Evans.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, the next scheduled meeting is Tuesday, December 8th, 2015, at the Appproved.
Personnel and collective bargaining, Alderman Hall, Alderman Persick.
We have an executive session.
No, we don't.
Oh, we don't now?
We don't now?
Okay, I talked to the attorney, I can do it. Under my report, I can.
We have nothing at this time.
Boy, I never seen you so excited.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Engineers report, Mr. Zamitis.
Thank you, Mayor. Going through some of the IDOT high-speed rail projects out there. As we discussed before, the Route 102 at Phyllis Drive, storm sewer connectivity project that Stanley Consultants is working on. Gary and I met with them a couple weeks back out there, and it was a rainy day, so we got to observe a absorb a lot of rain, but it was, we were able to see where all the water was draining to and give these guys a good feel for what needed to be done out there to take care of the ditch on the west side of 102 to pick up all the runoff from the police station and all these subdivisions.
This is like the whole Winchester Green, issue that's been going on for several years.
Yep, so,
Thank you, Colby.
they're working on it, so.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
It is IDOT.
I know.
Correct.
We'll see where they go with this, but hopefully it's to the city's benefit there. High-speed rail, we had a meeting, last week?
Last Thursday.
Yeah, you and I and Chief Salome with IDOT and their engineering consultant to discuss the fire and the city departments, our view and how they want to proceed with the underpass on Water Street and the Cape Keys Street overpass of the tracks there. They cleared up quite a bit of things for us that work to the city's benefit, which is a lot of stuff we want to hear and see that they'll be presenting to us. We'll have a meeting here the next couple months.
We're talking about a great separation now, or
Yes,
what?
yes. Well, it's,
No.
well,
No?
you want to
Yes, no.
talk that way?
No, generally, they're exploring it, we'll know more, and they'll have a presentation to the public in probably January, February. They are exploring the grade separation, but generally, it looks like that's becoming more of a challenge than even we even realized after they went through it. But that's what we've always asked for. Why haven't they done an engineering analysis on grade separation, or an overpass, or an underpass? So they haven't finished, but I don't want anybody's expectation that we're gonna get that successful. But the one thing that was successful out of it is Water Street will have ability for the ambulance, and looks like at least the one tanker, small tanker, because there will be some height gain there. So they're gonna run a little bit of analysis there to get it so it's high enough to where at least the tanker could go through, not the ladder truck.
And that's been the challenge, guys, with these guys, is not only grade separation, but even the concept of was to close Kankakee Street and change the route of Chicago Street and actually make that the grade separation of Water Street, where you kind of angle it off towards the Bridgemore. Even that concept was brought up, but there was never any serious input on anything other than the one thing they wanted to do. And that's been our biggest challenge, was to basically tell them to say, listen, you need to look at every option and present those options to us. And at the same time, give us the opportunity to present those to, one, the impacted residents and businesses within that area, but as well as anybody that's affected by it within the community with these changes that come through. We kind of did that with the public forum, but we basically had a lot of questions, not a lot of answers, because they weren't giving us any real conceptual ideas. And that's what we're still trying to work with on getting these guys, is to give us something. At least they're starting to kind of back up a little bit.
Yeah, the resolution had the impact, because that got sent to a lot of people, and they kept referring to the resolution. We know we gotta do this per your resolution now, and we have to satisfy that, so. I think we'll have some good information at least, and we do know that they're meeting now with Milltown Market, and they're meeting with Overhead Doors and with Browns. I think there's some good movement there.
We just need to make sure there's some residents over there that they're in communication with. I don't know if they are yet. I'll have to find out.
So we'll keep you informed, but there will be a public meeting. They will have another public meeting just about that area alone. We'll see what happens.
Like Tony mentioned, they're meeting with those other businesses down there. I spoke with HDR about the Milltown Market reconfiguration of that site. They want to know if the approach they want to take, was it feasible, and it's something that the city would back, instead of actually having them basically buy that property out, demolish everything, and move elsewhere. So it looks like they'll probably be sticking around with where they're at, and they'll have some revised some plans and stuff to present to us of how they're looking to redo that site there. First Street, just finished a review of the preliminary plans. We still have not gotten any updated plans for them from last time I spoke about this. And Strip Mine Road, traffic signal plans for 102 at Strip Mine, and were reviewed, and there were some plans submitted to IDOT on that. the city projects, 53 in South Arsenal and 53 in Peatone. Tony's trying to get some meetings scheduled up with IDOT and our consultants to discuss both those intersection improvement projects.
Have we moved forward on that condemnation of that property?
Appraisal is in the works, I think on one.
We've requested appraisals on both.
Okay.
That's for the condemnation of
Right.
both sites?
Yeah, on
The MKM properties and then the Gormans as well?
Yes,
the two?
they are. Right.
The MT project that got started basically yesterday, they're out there milling most of the streets here in town. Didn't get much done, or didn't get anything done today because of the rain, but they should be back tomorrow to finish up the millings, and we should have this thing wrapped up probably mid-next week, before Thanksgiving or whatever, so crazy weather, so.
Are there any problems with the leaves from the residents putting them up there?
A little bit, the milling machine, it sucked up most of those leaves that were there, but when they come to pave it, it will be a problem, so, Gary's aware of that, we've been trying to
Yeah, that's
talk
what I
to
was
these
gonna say,
residents. and
maybe he could be notified before, the day before, where they're gonna be working, so they can suck those up.
No, I know he got his crew, when we were doing some of the alleys over there, to come and suck that stuff up before we went through there, but, yeah, that's something we gotta keep our eye on and make sure we stay on top of it. And get that stuff taken care of before they try to pave it, 'cause that can be a problem. And then, the 53 water main, it's all in, we're still going through the punch list items with the contract or whatever, so, still some cleanup and stuff needs to be done out there, but, they know it, they're not getting paid until it's done, so, and I'm staying on to get it going, so. Economic, projects, Michelin, like I said, they're up and running, punch list, some stuff with the building department still going on. Petro, they're pouring a lot of curb and pavement out there. You can see the walls on the building are pretty much done out there. CDC freezer, parking lot completed, they were putting the garage doors up late last week or whatever, so they're continuing to pursue that building.
Landscaping was done, yeah.
Building B, they're expanding to the south, trying to get that entrance in off Design Road. Most of that stuff's cut in there, just the board or anything. And the north building has partial occupancy already, so they're moving forward there. The Ridgeway traffic signals, Van Mack will be doing that project. They've ordered most of the signal components and stuff like that for the lights and the mast arms, so they'll probably get going here the next couple of weeks, just trying to, be a short project, they're telling me, they're just waiting for some of the pieces to come in to move forward. The commercial stuff, Dollar General, still waiting to get these guys to fix that curb over there on Kayla Road, but we've been communicating a couple times a week, just trying to get things going. They're asking me to get some local contractors around here, so I've been giving them a lot of contact information for the guys around here, because people they use are farther down south, and they can't seem to get them up here, so.
Colby, can you have them strip those foundations for the parking lot poles? The sonic tube that they use for the parking lot poles?
For the light poles you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, around the sidewalk?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's on Chuck's punch list, but I'll talk to Chuck and make sure that, yeah, I saw those two, I was wondering why they didn't take those off. Yeah, I'll mention that to them.
Kobe's the first decent rain we've had in, what, 7, 8 weeks?
Yep.
You guys gonna go out and read those meters we installed finally? And
They have,
what's
yeah,
happening?
they have, that's, good thing we had that extension, for
Yeah.
another week or whatever, so that rain finally came through, but yeah, they're,
So you got some good data finally?
We should.
we should.
Tomorrow, today and tomorrow.
Yeah, remember when we put them in, oh, it's gonna rain, yeah, it didn't rain.
Yeah, we're finally getting it, so.
It's good for the farmers, but
Yeah.
not just for our report. So we should have some data, maybe we can learn something about where
Yes.
that's coming from. huh?
Got anything for us, Kobe?
The last thing we have is that Durazio car wash is going next door or whatever, so,
That's coming up for site plan with PZC?
Yeah, well, and we're still debating, we're doing the site plan review, and the planning commission is really, it's an accessory to the
Right.
business, but they are gonna allow the public to use it too, so, like I said, we're getting to site plan review. The foundation will be ready for him, Colby finished his reviews on the site development permit, and Chuck finished his building review today. So all the contractors are registered, a lot of local contractors on that project with Durazio. So it'll be a nice project. So,
Yes, I heard from a lot of local contractors. Good. Is that it?
Yep, thank you.
City Administrator report, Mr. McGrath.
yeah, John wanted me to bring up an update on Ingram's property, and the concrete is still there. We need to get that removed, so we'll, Pam will be working on that to contact them and make sure that happens. And then part of the agreement, he had that shelter he's got to tear down, got some things fixed, but not everything yet. So per the court order, we'll do a checklist for them and make sure everything gets done by December 1st, so. And then he'll have to,
That's the 90 days?
yeah, and then he'll have, in the spring, he'll have to come back, put the dirt down, put the grass down, and all that, because it's not gonna have time to do that. That'll work. And then, if you look downtown, I mean, Trinity Knot is, doing some work down there, tuck pointing and all that, so Pam's been working with, the owner of the two buildings. We did find out that, they want to add a door, so our new code enforcement building inspector is, getting work. She's out there doing
You're
things.
gonna be great. Still good, what I'm
And
hearing.
she's followed up on, already there's a complaint form on the website for anyone that's got code enforcement issues. You can fill it out, and she'll check on it and be able to respond back to the owner. Because that was what the committee asked, is if you get a complaint, request a follow-up. So in the form that she created, her and Joey, it does have a follow-up on it, so we'll be able to track that, and the owner or the complainant know that they went out and did the complaint. And then tonight, you saw a little transition going on. Gina was here for a little while, watching Pam, but the media productions will be taking over what Gina was doing, and Pam's got a lot of ideas she wants to do too.
Anne Marie.
Marketing.
Anne Marie.
Pam's my mom.
Oh,
There you go.
Anne Marie. I just got the last name going. Anne Marie. So we'll be discussing that with the services. She wants to get some video going a little bit, marketing in town, and we'll have a little more discussion what the benefit that would be for us. We do know that the mayor and I met with a potential user. The owners that are coming in at Bridgeport, interesting perspective was, they did YouTube searching. They see our website, they also see our city council agenda.
Yeah, they have to come see the big spaceman.
Yep, yeah, they're coming to see the big spaceman, take a photograph with the big spaceman in town. But the thing was, the thing I thought was interesting, they were seriously reviewing our community, not the traditional way. I mean, they came here too to walk around and talk to some of the businesses in town as visitors, but they extensively YouTubed us. And that seems to be a common thing now, and the social media being used as a tool for site selections.
Well, talking to the CFO, remember, he said that one thing that intrigued him was to see that we have island parks. He said, up in the Chicago area, never heard of a city having islands in their town. So that was one of the things he came and checked out as too. So it's amazing how these guys, the research and homework they do to find out about a community.
And he had connections with the mayor especially. He's a Wildcat alumni, but not our Wildcat, Northwestern. But he wasn't aware that Damien was a Wildcat alumni of our high school.
Damien quite well.
And he knew Damien real
Yeah, he
well.
was a Northwest alum. They had
I've been talking to him about Wilmington. So it was a nice meeting as we're learning more and more in these site selections as we do with Michelin. This company, if they select us, which we'll know in the next 2 weeks, will be another great asset to our community up in Bridgeport. And we had another one in today, so a lot of economic development activity going on. We're meeting with, I meet with people like every other day, to just something in the air, which is
I mean,
good.
if I could add something to that, and I only found this out through, because my daughter, but there's a lot of people, there's a lot of interest, and there's gonna be a lot of people moving in here. Rental units for right now are completely sold out from what I understand, and there's people looking to build houses, so those are all good things as a result of people coming to work at Ridgeport. So that's just some of the stuff that I've heard outside of here in talking to people, so.
Even early, at this early stage of the game, you're starting to see the benefit.
Yeah.
I think it's all.
There's a lot of people moving, and they're offering incentive packages to their workers to move down here. So, all good things.
That's good.
And all you have?
That's it.
Just real quick, before I go to John, did you guys mention about the tax levy for next meeting? You guys, any of that in your guys' reports?
No, I mean, we had that, we announced it at the last meeting, and then the public hearing, we don't have to have a public hearing because we're under the 5%.
Right, right on the 5%.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of that when we approach that. So. All right, real quick, attorney's report, Mr. Urban.
Thank you. I think, you know that I went to court since the last city council meeting, because the court approved the city being a receiver for the marathon station. And I've done a few reviews of other matters for the city, and also we drafted a proposed payable ordinance for the city. And that's the extent of my report.
Thank you, Mr. Urban. All right, seeing anything else, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving next week. And seek a motion to adjourn. Second. Favor. Aye.